The box split open in my hands. 11 years of my life slid across the hallway floor. It was supposed to be a simple job. Emma was coming to stay for a week, and the spare room wasn't a room anymore. It was a warehouse. So that Saturday morning, I opened the hallway cupboard. I pulled out the box on top. The cardboard was older than I thought, and it gave up halfway to the floor. A camera landed near my foot. I bought it when I was 19. The lens was scratched and the battery was dead. Next to it, there was a Spanish textbook. I quit that course after 3 weeks. Then 2 chargers for phones I don't own anymore. A jacket with a broken zip. And a cable I couldn't identify at all. I sat down on the floor with the camera in my hands. I told myself I was going to throw it away. Then I put it back in the box. That surprised me. The camera had no value, and I knew it. I hadn't taken a photograph with it in 9 years. But putting it in the bin felt like closing a door. Emma arrived the next day and found me still sitting there. She looked at the 4 open boxes and laughed at me. Then she sat down and started picking things up, one by one. She held up the Spanish textbook. She said, "Do you use this?" I said, "No." She said, "Do you love it?" I said, "No." She said, "So what is it doing in your house?" I didn't have a good answer, so I gave her an honest one. I said, "It's proof." And the moment I said it, I understood what I meant. Every object in that cupboard was a kind of receipt. A receipt for a plan I had made and never finished. The camera was proof that I once wanted to take photographs. The textbook was proof that I once wanted to speak Spanish. Throwing them away wasn't losing an object. It felt like admitting that the plan was over. Emma listened to all of that, and then she said one thing. She said, "You can keep the plan. You don't have to keep the box." We worked until the middle of the afternoon. And at the bottom of the cupboard, under everything else, there was a shoebox. I didn't recognize it. I opened it on my knees. Inside were my grandmother's recipe cards. 40 or 50 of them, in her small, careful handwriting. Some had notes in the corner, like less sugar than this. One had a photograph of her kitchen taped to the back. I sat very still for a long moment. I had kept 30 things I didn't want. And they had buried the one thing I did. We filled 4 bags that evening and carried them down to the car. In the end, I kept 3 things. The recipe cards are on the kitchen shelf now, where I can see them every day. And on Monday morning I took the camera to a repair shop. It cost more than the camera is worth. But a thing you keep in a box isn't really kept. It's just stored. 2 weeks later, I was standing outside a bicycle shop in the dark. I already had a bicycle. I had saved for 4 months to buy it. It was second-hand, dark blue, with a small crack in the paint on the frame. The first week, I rode everywhere. I rode to work, to the market, and to places I had no reason to go. I felt rich. Then, on the 9th day, the shop put a new bicycle in the window. It was lighter. The gears were better. It was even the color I would have chosen. I stood on the pavement and did the arithmetic in my head. 6 months of saving. Maybe 5, if I was careful. And when I got on my own bicycle to ride home, it felt slow. Nothing had happened to it. It was exactly the same bicycle it had been the day before. But now it was the bicycle that wasn't the one in the window. I told Mr. Lee about it on Sunday. He was sitting on the steps outside our building. There was a wooden chair upside down between his knees. He was tightening the legs with a screwdriver. I asked him how old the chair was. He said, 31 years. He told me he had repaired it 4 times. The wood on the arms was darker where his hands always went. So I asked him why he didn't just buy a new one. He looked at me as if I had asked something strange. He said, "This one knows my back." Then I asked the question I actually wanted to ask. I said, "How do you know when you have enough?" He thought about it for a while before he answered. He said, "Enough isn't an amount, Alex." He said, "It's a decision." He said, "I decided this was my chair. And after that I stopped looking at chairs." I've thought about that sentence a lot since then. Because I hadn't stopped looking. For 9 days I had been genuinely happy with my bicycle. On the 10th day, a shop window told me I wasn't, and I believed the window. So I made a small rule for myself. For 1 month, I would take the other street home. Twice I forgot, and turned into the old street without thinking. Both times I stood in front of that glass for a minute before I moved on. It sounds childish, I know. But after about a week, something quiet happened. The bicycle became my bicycle again. The crack in the paint stopped looking like damage, and started looking like mine. The bicycle never changed. The window changed me. In November, the power went out in our whole street. And I found out how bad I am at sitting still. It was a Friday evening, and my cousin Sam was staying for the weekend. We were making pasta when the lights went off. Everything stopped at the same moment. The radio, the small light above the cooker, the low sound of the fridge. Outside, the whole street was dark. Even the shop signs on the corner were gone. My first reaction wasn't fear. It was work. I went to the fuse box with the light from my phone. The fuse box was fine. I went downstairs and knocked on a neighbor's door, and her flat was dark too. I came back up and tried to call the building manager, and the call didn't connect. Then I sat down, and there was nothing left to fix. My laptop was dead. The television was dead. My phone had 8% of its battery and no internet. And then I noticed something a little embarrassing. I kept picking the phone up. Every 2 minutes I turned that black screen towards my face. I looked at nothing, and then I put it down again. Sam was lying on the floor by the window with a cushion under his head. He hadn't moved in 10 minutes. He said, "Why do you keep checking a phone that doesn't work?" I laughed, but I didn't have an answer for him. We found candles in the bottom drawer in the kitchen. I lit 4 of them and put them on the table. Then I tried to organize the evening. I suggested a card game, and Sam said maybe later. I suggested we finish cooking on the gas ring. Sam said, "We can just wait." Those 4 words were harder for me than the darkness was. For the first half hour, I felt like I was late for something. My hands wanted a task. I stood up twice for no reason at all. Then, slowly, the evening got wider. We could hear the rain properly for the first time. Somebody 2 floors down was playing a guitar badly, stopping, and starting again. Sam counted the seconds between the lightning and the thunder. Sam asked me about the recipe cards on the kitchen shelf. So I told him about my grandmother's kitchen. I told him about the summer I stayed there when I was 8 years old. I hadn't told anyone that story in years. Sam asked the kind of questions that make you remember more. We talked until nearly 10:30. That's when the lights came back on. All at once, far too bright. And neither of us got up to turn anything on. For years I have described myself as a busy person. That night I understood something less comfortable. A lot of my movement wasn't work at all. It was avoidance. Noise is easy, and quiet asks you a question. Before he went to bed, Sam said, "That was a good night." And nothing had happened at all. A cupboard full of proof, a shop window, and a phone with a dark screen. 3 different problems with the same shape, I was holding on to things that were never holding me. You've been listening to Slow English Listening. If these stories helped your English today, please subscribe. There's a new story every week, spoken slowly and clearly. If you want another level 4 story right now, listen to The Party I Left Early. Thank you for spending this time with me. See you in the next story.